Well, good afternoon, kiddos. It's a great afternoon. All right. When we left Mark and his uncle Jake and Nathan last time, you may recall that Jake was informing Mark that he had to be a leader. Let's see how that goes. I'll put on my glasses now. Okay, chapter 16, the real plate face. Today was different. During my workout this morning with Uncle Jake, I asked him how I was supposed to lead Nathan. I couldn't just walk up to him and say, "Do what I tell you." That wouldn't work. Uncle Jake agreed. "That definitely won't work," Uncle Jake said. "That kind of leadership isn't real leadership. Sure, if you were in charge of someone and you ordered him to do something, that might work at first, but it won't last. Real leadership comes by forming relationships with people, by becoming friends with people. Then they will listen to you because they want to, not because they have to. So I have to become friends with Nathan? Well, you're at least going to have to try. How am I going to be friends with someone who makes fun of me every chance he gets?" I asked Uncle Jake. I was starting to suspect that maybe he hadn't thought his idea all the way through. Uncle Jake then asked me, "Has he ever punched you?" That was a strange question. "No," I said, Uncle Jake. "How about kicked? Has he ever kicked you?" "No, Uncle Jake, he has never kicked me." "What about slapped or scratched or bit you?" "No, he hasn't done that." "Okay then, Mark, what has he done?" This question really had me for a minute. What had Nathan done to me? I could barely remember when it all started. Well, he makes fun of me. He calls me names. "Oh, yeah, that's right," Uncle Jake said, smiling. "Plate face." "That's not funny, Uncle Jake," I told him. "Well, maybe you don't think so, but it is kind of funny." "Not really," I told him again. You might think it was funny if you didn't take it so seriously. Think about it. Your face is a little roundish and a little flat, like a plate. So, plate face. If you just let it be funny, you would see that it is funny. But you are being too sensitive about it. A warrior can't let a little name calling upset them. Warriors have more important things to be concerned about, things that matter. Someone making fun of you or calling you a name isn't important enough. Just deal with it and move on. "Okay, but it annoys me. How do I just deal with it?" That's the easy part. You just laugh. Laugh. Laugh along with the joke. Instead of getting mad, just think of it from a different perspective and laugh. And here's another secret. Not only will laughing make you feel better, it will also take away the power of the insult. People make fun of other people to feel powerful. As soon as you laugh at yourself, you take that power away from them. Ooh, that's an important lesson. Try it. You'll see. "Okay, Uncle Jake, I'll try it." The next day at camp after kickball in the morning, we had an art project to do. I figured that this was as good a time as any to try and make friends with Nathan, so I sat at the same table as him. I think this kind of surprised him because he looked at me in a strange way for a minute. There wasn't much time to talk because we were doing individual projects. As soon as we sat down, the counselor told us to be quiet and start listening. The counselor said we were going to draw a self-portrait, which is a portrait of yourself. As soon as I heard this, I had an idea that would help me become friends with Nathan and help me laugh at myself. So I drew a picture of myself. But instead of drawing myself the way that I actually look, I drew myself as plate face. I made my face a giant plate with my hair and eyes, but in the shape of a plate. Then I added a little body, which made it look even funnier. When I finished it, I whispered to Nathan, "Hey Nathan, check this out." I held up the picture. Nathan burst out laughing. When he started laughing so hard, I started laughing too. It was hilarious. "The real plate face," I told him. "That's awesome," he said back. "You're a great artist, because that looks just like you." We started laughing even harder. And that was it. I no longer felt bad about being called plate face, and neither could tell that it didn't bother me anymore. "I didn't know you were so funny, Mark," he said. That was it. He called me Mark. That must have been the first time he called me by my real name in a year. But more important, it now seemed I had a new friend. Chapter 17, The Bruiser. We're going to run two of these chapters together today because that one wasn't a very long chapter. Today was awesome. After all the taking apart and cleaning and removing rust and sanding and preparing for paint and painting each individual part with 2 or 3 coats of paint, it was finally time to get my rust bucket bike back together again. Only now it didn't look like a rust bucket. In fact, there was no rust on it at all. Every part looked almost brand new. I say almost because instead of being all new and shiny, this bike was almost completely black. I wasn't actually feeling very comfortable about putting the bike together by myself, and I think Uncle Jake knew that, so he came to the garage to help me out. Well, at least I thought he was there to help me. "Thanks for coming to help me," I told him. "Help you?" "Well, yeah, I thought you were here to help me out." "I'm here to answer any questions you might have. I'm here to make sure you aren't making any mistakes. But you are the one who asked to do the work," Uncle Jake said. "Okay, well, thanks, I guess." "You guess?" Uncle Jake laughed. "Why do you only guess?" Well, I told him, "Why should I thank you if you aren't even going to help me?" I asked Uncle Jake with a smile on my face. He knew I was teasing him, and he could tell that I thought it was pretty funny. I thought he did too until his face got serious. "If I help you, I'm hurting you," he said, staring right at me. "What?" "I said, if I help you, I'm hurting you." "I heard what you said, Uncle Jake, but that doesn't even make sense. How can you be hurting me if you help me?" The whole idea seemed kind of crazy to me. But it wasn't crazy to Uncle Jake, and I could see it in his eyes. Here's the thing, Mark. One of the best ways for people to learn is by doing. If I were to jump in and put the bike back together myself, you wouldn't learn anything. If you don't learn, what's the point? That's why I always want you to do things yourself. So you can learn to be self-sufficient, so you don't need help. Of course, there are some things that you will need help with in life, and putting this bike together right now is one of them. Sometimes someone needs to show you how to do things and to guide you through them. But whenever you can, try to do them yourself so you'll learn. Does that make sense? Yes, Uncle Jake, it does. If I can put the bike back together with very little help from you, then in the future maybe I won't need any help at all. That's right, Uncle Jake said. You will be able to take care of yourself. You'll be self-sufficient. It'll be awesome. Now, what you need to do is stop talking and get to work. Start with putting the seat in and then put the stem back in the frame so that you can put the handlebars on. Then you can flip it over and it will be stable so you can start putting the back cranks on. Okay, got it, Uncle Jake. With that, I picked up the frame, led the stem through the neck, and started tightening. Tightened it right down. Uncle Jake helped a little by holding the frame steady. After that, I put the seat on. Then the cranks, which were a little bit tricky. I almost needed Uncle Jake's help again, but managed to get it done. Then I had to put the tubes and tires on the rims so they would be ready to go on the bike. As I put each piece back on the bike, it started looking even better and better than when I began working on it. Each piece fit into place exactly. Finally, it was time to put the tires on the bike, get the chain in place, attach the brakes, and last step, pump up the tires with air. Once I finished, that was it. It looked awesome. Almost the whole bike was black, and then it looked like a bike that could be used for warrior kid missions. Looks pretty good, Uncle Jake said. Pretty good, I said. It looks awesome. Uncle Jake looked at the bike for a few seconds, then said, hold on, it's missing something. With that, he walked out of the garage. A minute later, he came back in. He had a small bag in his hand. He reached inside, pulled out a little packet, and handed it to me. I looked at the little packet. It was a bunch of little sticker letters. You need to name it, Uncle Jake said. Name it? Yeah, give it a name. That bike you used to want was called the Bentley. You need to give this bike a name. Name it something. Well, what should I name it? I don't know. What does it remind you of? What did the Bentley remind you of? Well, the Bentley was all shiny and nice. It doesn't look as tough as this bike. So you want a name that's tough? Yeah, the toughest. This is the toughest bike. It needs the toughest name. That sounds like a good plan. So what's the toughest name? Good question, I replied. I sat there for a minute, thinking, what was the toughest name? Then I remembered Uncle Jake telling me a story about a really tough group of SEALs he worked with that fought super hard against the enemy. And I remembered what they were called, Bruiser. What about the Bruiser, I said, like that group of SEALs you said you worked with. Uncle Jake smiled and nodded his head. The Bruiser. I like it. And I think it fits perfectly. Go ahead, as he pointed to the stickers, he said. I pulled out the stickers and started to peel off the T to get started. Hold on, Uncle Jake said. First figure out exactly where you want to put that. Then take this ruler and draw a straight line with the pencil so it looks professional. I did as instructed, and I peeled off the T and put it in place. It looked good, so I followed with the rest of the letters. Once it was done, I stepped back and had a look. It read, The Bruiser. The bike looked even better now. It was awesome. I got on the other side of the bike, drew a line, put the stickers on that side too. Double awesome. Well, Uncle Jake said, hopefully you can sell it for enough money to get the Bentley. What? I shouted. The Bentley? Why would I want the Bentley now? Uncle Jake had a big smile on his face. Well, I haven't even seen the Bentley, but I don't think it can be any better than the Bruiser. No way, I shouted. Not even close. Not even close, Uncle Jake said. That's what happens when you do the work. When you build something yourself with your own hands, it's really yours. Good job, Mark. Thanks, Uncle Jake. Thanks for making me do the work. No problem, Mark, he said. No problem at all. Then he pushed the button to open the garage door, handed me my helmet, and sent me out on my first ride. It was awesome. Want to see Mark pedaling down the road? It's a pretty good story. Pretty good lesson, too. Okay, well, Mrs. Morton says I have to get this off to you guys so you have something to listen to this afternoon. So I'm going to end this now. You guys have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow.